Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Brewers, it's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think. Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Greetings.
The Cretin himself.
Indeed.
Well, I'm just going to get right to it, John.
Okay.
You shot a staple through your thumb, like through the thumb bone.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
So first off, that's a quality staple gun you got there. I mean, that's got some serious power to it.
Industrial stuff.
Ironically, it broke the next day, and I had to buy a new one.
What kind of staple gun was this?
It was a Black & Decker Power Shot.
Yeah, and you were shooting, it appeared some long staples. You're shooting like 3/4 inch or
Half
inches
inch,
or something.
yeah.
They looked like pretty long and beefy staples.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah, and right through your thumb.
Yeah, it was. I guess it is hard for people to imagine how I could have done that. I mean,
Yes.
certainly my wife never could believe it.
Right. No, from the pictures, I'm thinking the only possible way is to do it intentionally. Are you hurting yourself intentionally, John?
No.
Has it gotten to that point?
No, I was supporting what I thought was the back of the staple gun with my left hand and my left thumb, and then peering under the staple gun, lining up what I thought was the front of it over the wire that I was trying to staple down. And make sure I perfectly straddled it, didn't punch a hole through that. Well, I did not, because that particular model of staple gun is rather symmetrical. I didn't think about the fact that it was backwards. I was concentrating on alignment, and I squeezed and ka-chink, and it's like, what does shit? Dang it. I mean, that was my words, dude. Dang it. I've stapled my thumb. And then, you think just like, well, should I get off the ladder and pull this out?
Or should I just finish up?
Yeah, it's like, what should I do? And I went and grabbed a pair of pliers and gave it a little tug, and it's like, no, I think I'll go to urgent care and get them to numb it up, But clean it out, too. That'd be on the safe side, get it clean.
Right.
And kind of looking at it and realized that, nobody was home but me, and it's like going to drive myself there. Can't really grip the steering wheel with it, and fortunately my neighbor was walking by, so he did me a favor and offered to pull it out for me, which I said no, let's go to urgent care, we'll do that. And he offered again. It's like, no, we'll just go there, it won't take long. And I tell you, getting it out was a lot harder than getting it in.
Yeah,
I can imagine. Yeah,
I think if I had been there, John, you would have let me yank that thing out. You have that level of trust in me.
Where can I see these pictures aforementioned?
I might just have it here on my phone.
Oh, good.
Let's see. Here. Oh, John. How? I tell you.
I amaze myself sometimes.
Yeah.
Were you just in total shock at first? It was just like, oh, there's a nail through my thumb.
Yeah, well, it was like, rats. Crap.
Yeah. Like, I need to buy a new nail gun now.
Yeah. Well, it was once it was in there, it was just uncomfortable. I mean, it was like having a rubber band around your thumb kind of thing. Not painful, just uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, the adrenaline helps a lot with that. You're just like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, But anyway, once we got to the hospital, they said, oh, yeah, we got a staple gun or a staple remover that we use. Take that out. No problem. It's like, okay, good. Well,
they have a tool specifically for that.
Yeah. Well, I think what it's actually intended for is surgical staples.
Oh, okay. But it'll work with a nail.
Yeah, well, we're working with a regular thin, hardware staple. Mm-hmm. It bent they tried to slip it under and then 3-point bend it to pull, grab it and pull it out. Well, it just ended up bending the middle of the staple deep into my thumb. Which, now that really hurt. I mean, I'm practicing Lamaze techniques, trying to, ow,
Yeah.
Can somebody give me a shot?
Yeah.
And,
should have brought a growler of beer.
Yeah. And Christ, so then they're like, well, okay, we'll go get some numbing, just a minute. And they leave. And it's like, can I have that staple remover plier? And he goes, oh, yeah, sure, here. And so I'm working on my own thumb. Everybody else is left.
You're working. Everyone leaves, and you're just sitting there.
And I'm trying to straighten that stupid staple out because this really hurts. It's like somebody taking a screwdriver and just pressing it into your thumb. And so I work at it a little bit, and then the staple breaks in half in the middle where it was kind of crimped. Which helped. Now half of the pressure was off the thumb. So there was like one piece that went kind of through the top of the thumb and was kind of, just through flesh. The other one was the one that was like through the middle of my thumb. I'm almost the exact middle and through the bone. And I did consider doing the manly thing and pulling out the one piece by myself. But the doctor came back in and it's like, well, I'll let him do it. I mean, he's the one getting paid for this. And so he grabbed it and yanked they did numb it up. And of course that doesn't feel good either. But after they numbed it, he grabbed the small piece, yanked that out. And that was like, a bee sting kind of level of pain, Then he grabbed the middle piece, or the one that was through the thumb bone, and that was more like a root canal. That generated like 6 cuss words in rapid succession. I mean, it's just like, oh, damn crap shit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of the pain that drops you through the floor. Uh-huh. But then it was out, and everything was fine. I made sure they cleaned it out well. And then, a week later, you'd never know what happened.
Except for the gash in your thumb.
What I'm surprised about is you didn't go right to the alcohol. See, that's what I do when I get injured like that. The first thing I do, have a couple of shots, maybe toss back a couple of Vicodin. Then it's like, okay, now I'm ready to yank that thing out myself. And you just put your thumb in the vise, you get the pliers, you just like one swift move and you're done.
I had it all set up. I had the Star Sand sitting there. I had some pliers.
Yeah, he was ready, man.
And but I thought
you were just missing the alcohol and the opioids.
Yeah.
You know who would probably actually make a better nail puller?
John Blickman. That's right. Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking. John Blickman, Blickman Engineering, always innovating your brew day. I think he could be innovating your medical staple remover as well. I mean, if it was up to Blickman, I would guess that Blickman is probably, shot a few staples in himself. I mean,
you probably could ease the insertion, right?
Mm-hmm. You look at the state of his hands, and clearly they're in the way of a lot of tools.
Yes,
I mean, he's missing parts. He's got holes where there shouldn't be any.
Those are experienced hands.
I think he's got fingers that split into like 2. I mean, it's just very freakish.
Yeah,
I tell you, he's been sponsoring this show, so it makes his freakish hands all right. He's been sponsoring the show since we started. So I think the least you can do is give him a little bit of support. Check out their website, BlickmanEngineering.com. Maybe email John Blickman at feedback@BlickmanEngineering.com. Tell him how much you appreciate their supporting the show, even though his hands are all messed up and freakish.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
there
right.
you go.
Yeah.
All right, John. Just kind of I'll yank this off just like a staple.
Right.
We were talking about, in the show about malt varieties. Or the cultivars, and a lot of times people get confused when I say use an English pale ale malt or Maris Otter. We talk about something like that, a specific cultivar. A lot of times people confuse the malt cultivar, the barley cultivar, with the type of malting process, like making a pale ale malt. You make a pale ale malt out of any grain, right? Any barley, but the type of grain that went into it, the cultivar, the Maris Otter, Golden Promise, Glen Eagle, a lot of these different malts, people talk about them, but I'm not sure they really understand the impact they have on flavor. Right. And we were talking about the two studies that were published in the Journal of the ASBC about this specific thing, how barley variety impacts flavor. And I was talking to my friend Travis, and he was like, doesn't everybody know this? Doesn't everybody understand that the barley variety actually has an impact on flavor? I'm going, well, I guess not. So I thought that would be a great topic for a show today, and something that people don't. I think some people realize, and some people don't, and it's one of those things that's just kind of in the background, and people talk like they do understand it. And I think so. It might be a good subject for a show. Coming from
like on one side of the bar perspective and talking to people, people have this obsession with hops. That's not necessarily. I mean, no one thinks about malt. Everyone's like, "Oh, this hop's great, this hop," and that's all consumers will pretty much talk about. No one mentions. Well, and in a way, this is like just talking about hops in general, and going, these hops were kilned. They were dried hops. They were pellet hops. They were whole hops, and ignoring that it was Citra or Columbus or Galaxy or whatever, that would be totally ignored. Yeah. So that's in essence what we're talking about with the malt. Yeah. So the types of malt, the Maris Otter, the Glen Eagle, the Golden Promise, the
Harrington and Claudius.
Harrington, right? Exactly. That's kind of like the Citra, Columbus, Galaxy, Warrior, or whatever. So. Yeah, good point on the hops. Let's do this. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll dive right into barley variety and how it affects the flavor of beer right after this.
Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on two gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy. Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
Hey guys, what'll it be?
I'm not sure. What do you recommend?
A lot of people seem to like the Hefeweizen.
Is that a German Hefeweizen or more of an American-style wheat beer?
I'm not sure, but I can give you a taste.
Okay, great.
The Cicerone Certification Program certifies and educates beer professionals in order to elevate the beer experience for consumers. Unfortunately, not every bar is staffed with certified beer servers who can guide their customers through a beer list.
Here you go, guys. Let me know what you think of the Hefeweizen.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely more of an American meat. But I can hardly tell because this beer just smells like sour butter. I wonder how long it's been since they cleaned the draft line.
Yeah, and look at the bubbles on the side of the glass. It's filthy.
Somebody should tell these guys about the Cicerone program.
For sure. How about we head somewhere else for another beer?
Your server should give beer the same respect you do. Request quality. The Cicerone Certification Program offers 4 levels of beer certification, in-person classes, and course books for beer professionals. Check them out at cicerone.org. The Cicerone Certification Program. We know beer.
Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Check out their brand new patent-pending Mash and Boil 110-volt electric mashing and boiling unit. This compact all-stainless unit lets you mash, sparge, and boil just about anywhere that has a 110-volt plug. Double-wall construction adds to efficiency and safety, and a precise thermostat keeps temperatures where you want them. Unlike insulated buckets and converted coolers, multiple temperature rest mashing is easy to do, all for under $300. They also feature the Mark II work pump, a magnetic drive high-temperature pump that does the work of pumps that cost twice as much, as well as exclusive Brewer's Edge regulators and quality Keg King kegs and disconnects. Check them out today at williamsbrewing.com to brews their vast selection.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew strong.
All right, we're back. We're talking about barley varieties and how that impacts beer flavor. And, you know, John, is this a major factor, a minor factor? How big a factor is this in the flavor of beer?
Well, that's the real question, isn't it? I think everyone has known for years that barley variety accounts, to some degree for beer flavor. For example, we talked about Maris Otter malt and how everyone looks for Maris Otter pale ale malt to really nail that British, truly malty pale ale flavor. Well, so just recently in the Journal of the ASBC, that's the American Society of Brewing Chemists, a group of people, both maltster, barley grower, brewer, and so on, got together and worked on 2 studies with the University of Oregon, and what they were looking at that very question. How much does barley variety affect beer flavor? And let's take a step back and talk about what beer flavor is for a moment. You have your malt character, which is probably the dominant flavor in most beer styles. But you also have your hop contributions and very important flavor component in your IPAs and so on. Next, you have your yeast. As we all know, you can have two completely different beers brewed from the same wort by pitching different yeast to them. Recognizably different characters. And then you have the water character as well. Now, water is definitely a minor character in beer flavor, but still significant. You can change the pH of the beer, and you can change the seasoning aspect of the beer, how malty versus how hoppy the flavor accent is by changing the water. But that is a minor character compared to, say, the malt and the hops characters. Well, when it comes to malt, we are malting barley. And barley is actually a whole class or genus, I guess, of plants. There are different varieties of barley. We mentioned Maris Otter, Claudius, Harrington, Golden Promise, Full Pint. There's a whole bunch of them. And each of these varieties is adapted to a different growing region around the world. And what does it mean to be adapted? Well, we're talking about, the climate. We're talking about the weather of a region. Whether we're talking about North America or South America or the United Kingdom or Europe, Germany, anywhere you are, there's going to be a local variety of barley and other vegetables and plants as well, other agricultural products that are specifically adapted to grow well in that region. And one aspect of this are, the bugs in that region, that prey upon these plants. And so the different plants will have different resistances to bugs and other plant diseases for a region.
Because a lot of the work that they put into coming up with new varieties is focused around yield. So
agronomy and yield.
Yeah,
how well does it grow and how much does it produce?
Exactly, and protection against bugs, things like that. Very important. And then flavor is kind of one of those things that,
it's barley. It'll work.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the maltster, has a huge effect on that. But, over the years, everyone's always, come back to the fact that, boy, certain of these, traditional malt cultivars are pretty fantastic. Yeah.
I mean, everybody loves Maris Otter, and, they want to grow more of it. Why can't we grow more of it? Let's make all beer out of Maris Otter. Well, that's where agronomy, how well something grows and how much it yields is a factor. Likewise, Maris Otter, that's a UK variety. It is adapted to growing in England. And the English climate is, a long, mild winter, light snow, and these older, landrace and older varieties, they have the dormancy gene. And what is dormancy? Well, dormancy is a genetic trait that allows them to essentially wait for spring. So, in the wild, the barley grows, the barley seeds are on the top of the stalk, and, at the end of the year, the barley would lay down in the field, and those seeds would lay there all winter, and you don't want, a sudden warm spell to make them sprout, and then, then another month of winter just kill it off. So this dormancy thing is a genetic trait that allows the seed to really wait for spring. It doesn't start sprouting for a period of, some months, before it's ready to start sprouting. So, dormancy has been bred out of North American varieties because we have a much different climate. We grow barley out west where it's generally dry. Winters are very cold and actually have the potential to, kill the barley seed by getting it too cold, during the winter. So we generally plant spring varieties where they're not planted until spring. And then as soon as they're planted, the farmers want this barley to sprout and start growing. So they have a very short latency or dormancy to them. And when it comes to making malt, again, Maris Otter, for example, has this dormancy period where after you harvest it in the fall, you've got to wait 3 to 6 months for the dormancy period to be over before it'll be capable of being malted. It won't absorb water until it's gone through that dormancy period. And the amount of dormancy depends, it's a genetic trait, so it depends on the variety that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. So that's probably too much information on that, but that's one reason that here in North America we can't just plant Maris Otter or Barca or all these other European low-protein barley varieties that everybody raves about their flavor compared to American malts.
Well, that's why you need a good homebrew shop like Great Fermentations. You're going to go in there, and they're going to have a wide variety of malts, and they're going to bring in the great malts from Europe and the UK, and they're going to make sure that you have access to all these wonderful ingredients. You can check them out at greatfermentations.com on the web. They've got the largest catalog of Blichmann products in the World Wide Web, and their staff is some of the most knowledgeable people in Blichmann products. So if you're a fan of Blichmann and you're using the gear, you got questions, they can answer them. Good people. They offer top-notch customer service, same-day shipping on many items, and just good people. They know they're brewing, and it's a clean, quality stores. I've been there. I really like those places, and you can like them as well on Facebook at GR8 Fermentation, and the same on Instagram and Twitter. Just check them out at greatfermentations.com. All right, let's take a short break, and when we come back, let's get more into that protein aspect you were just starting to allude to. We'll be back right after this.
If you work in retail sales, the restaurant industry, or are a new craft beer enthusiast, or you know someone who is, you have got to check out Beer 101. Beer 101 is an online course created for anyone wanting a quick introduction to the vast world of craft beer. Beer 101 covers the history of beer, brewing ingredients and processes, vital stats like ABV, SRM, IBU, and gravity, styles, tasting, glassware, and pairing beer with food. The Beer 101 course is offered by the Brewers Association at craftbeer.com, also home to the truly awesome Beer Style Finder, a visual guide to every beer style. Quickly play with color, bitterness, and alcohol content to interactively explore the entire world of beer styles with a gorgeously designed interface to your favorite beverage. The new Beer 101 course and new Beer Style Finder are only available at craftbeer.com. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamil Zainashev, and I want to tell you about Heretic Evil Twin. You might be familiar with my homebrew recipe, which uses massive late hopping to create a balance between the malty sweet and the hoppy bitter, along with an outrageous malt and hop character. I wanted a beer with the same bold hop and malt character, so we played around with the homebrew recipe and until we're able to make a great commercial version too. We've created a beer rich in malt character, full of caramel, toast, biscuit, and an ever so subtle roast note. On top of that, we piled in an insane amount of Citra and Columbus hops at the end of the boil, as well as in dry hopping. This damn-the-cost approach to hopping gives Heretic's Evil Twin a great blast of citrus and tropical fruit that can't be matched by any other hop. The result is a bold, malty, hoppy, but easy-drinking beer. This is our top seller, our flagship beer, and I couldn't be prouder of it. Cheers.
To find Heretic beers near you, click on Find Some at hereticbrewing.com.
The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Are you a member of the White Labs Customer Club? If not, you should be. It's the easiest way to earn free stuff for turning in your old homebrew labels from either Vials or Pure Pitch. All you have to do is save your labels and redeem them for things like free yeast, an exclusive White Labs t-shirt or sweatshirt, and even the opportunity to brew with the yeast man himself, Chris White. Signing up is easy. Just go to whitelabs.com/customer club, fill out the registration form, and then mail in your labels. They will return the favor by sending you awesome White Labs swag. Go sign up today at whitelabs.com/customer club. White Labs, pure yeast and fermentation since 1995.
Back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're talking
barley and protein.
Barley and protein, barley varieties. I tell you, who has good books on a lot of the malt is the AHA. And right now, as a listener to the Brewing Network, you can go and get a great offer to renew your membership or even get a new membership. It's join the AHA or renew using the affiliate link on the Brewing Network site. So you go to thebrewingnetwork.com, you see that giant AHA button, renewal button. You click on that, you use the offer code BNARMY17, BNARMY17, and you're going to get 2 free books with your membership. They're going to send you a copy of Brewing Local and a copy of For the Love of Hops, all when you renew your membership or get a new membership through thebrewingnetwork.com. So check it out today. All right, let's see. Yeah, we're talking about proteins in the barley varieties. And is that a big part of the flavor difference between these different cultivars, John?
Well, it can be. The way protein interacts is kind of interesting. In a nutshell, you have all these different varieties of barley from all over the world, and generally North American varieties are a little higher in protein than European varieties. And I'm talking about a difference of, say, 9 or 10% versus 11 or 12%. Not a huge difference, but a difference. And when it comes to protein, more protein in a barley means that kernel is harder, it's glassier. And as a result, it's actually harder to hydrate when it's time to malt it. It doesn't take up water as quickly. So it needs more time in the steeping tank to hit or to become fully hydrated. And when it comes to malting, the steeping tank makes the malt. They say what you're doing is you're doing a series of steeps, getting the water, filling the tank with water, getting the barley wet, draining the tank, letting the barley rest, filling it again with new fresh water, and you're trying to get the barley to absorb about 45% of its weight in water. Once you've done that, you've got the kernel fully hydrated, and the enzymes can move around and homogeneously start modifying the endosperm. In other words, the starch reserve of that kernel. If you tried to germinate that barley at a lower percentage of moisture, say like at 27%, which is typically what you get after that first immersion, then it would still, you would activate the embryo, and the enzymes would be active and they would start modifying the kernel, but they wouldn't be able to reach all areas of that seed. And so that kernel, and therefore the whole batch, would not modify homogeneously. And so you'd end up with, a low yielding malt. It wouldn't give a whole lot of its, total extract or total weight as extract. So, the malt, the steeping process in the tank is very crucial to getting a good, homogeneous, high-yielding malt product. And every barley variety is going to have a different protein character, both in terms of its total percentage by weight, as well as the types of proteins that are in that kernel that differentiate how it modifies. For example, the Metcalfe variety has slightly higher protein than, say, Copeland barley, but it also has a higher diastatic power. Copeland modifies faster because it's a little lower protein, but also has a little bit lower diastatic power than Metcalfe. So these are some of the differences that the maltster has to work around when they malt a batch of barley, a piece of barley. And for this reason, they never mix different barley varieties when they're malting. It's always a single variety, and hopefully barley from the same region, because there can be regional differences within a barley variety on how well it modifies. So, this is the science of malting, as it were.
Right. Which has a huge impact on the flavor.
Yeah. What they're trying to do with steeping and germination is they're trying to simulate spring. They're trying to get that barley to germinate, and then release all the enzymes, get fully modified, and then they're going to stop that by drying the barley out, stopping the enzyme action.
Well, and all this is interesting background, but let's get back to the study, and what did the study show as far as these malt varieties, these barley varieties having an impact on the flavor?
Okay. Well, so what the study did, the study was very interesting. They took two varieties of barley. One, Golden Promise, which is a spring UK variety, for the United Kingdom, has a fairly low dormancy period, and Full Pint, which is a North American variety, also a spring variety meant to be planted in the spring, and then they took these two varieties, and then they made 34 different genetic crosses with them.
Now, how do they do that?
Well, I'm not sure whether it's a matter of going around the stamens with a pair of tweezers and a Q-tip, or if they do it in a laboratory, the genetic modification techniques. But generally you create new barley varieties by breeding, by forced pollination, and so on.
Well, and you wouldn't think you could get 34 different crosses, right?
Yeah.
Because you'd think, well, you got one and one, you could get one other type, which would be those two together. But I guess there's because it's a natural process. I guess there's variations in what kind of.
Each time you do it, it comes out a little differently, just like your kids.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So
they had 34 crosses.
34 crosses.
The two parents and then Copeland as a control.
Yeah. And then they brewed 1032 Pilsner beers, or I should say Pilsner beers with the gravity of 1032 or 8 Plato, from these different barleys, and fermented them the same, or they should say they malted all of these barleys with the same process, which resulted in a real variety of malt modifications and so on. It was a single malting process applied to all, so any genetic variation was then exacerbated by the malting process affecting it. Anyway, so then they brew 1032 Pilsner type beers, and then had all these beers tasted by a trained tasting panel with replicates. They also included Miller High Life as a control in the study. So they had a base beer that the tasters could always reference in trying to decide what flavors they're picking up from the malt character. Now, from the malt character, they broke down the malt character into, I guess, 9 different, maybe 10 different flavors. Cereal, color, I'm not sure if that's, I think that's just supposed to be color as a visual as opposed to a flavor. Floral, fruit, grass, sweet, honey, malt, toasted, and toffee. So those are all the different aspects of the malt character that they were looking at when the panel did taste these beers.
Well, now, did they used just one yeast on all this, I assume, and it was, like a Pilsner yeast or something?
Well, it was like a dry yeast. So a Pilsner malt was made out of all of these. In other words, a very low kilned, low color malt was made out of all these barley malts, and then they used a dry ale yeast as the fermenter for all of them.
Well, and if it's all the same across all of them, that's fine for the study. But what I like to do is, select your yeast in conjunction with your malt variety, the way it's malted, and then your yeast, and the yeast will either accentuate certain aspects of the malt flavor or subdue certain aspects. It gives you, completely, sometimes you think, wow, this tastes really, grainy, or this tastes really, toasty, or this tastes, sweet or honey-like, or like all these flavors. It's because of the yeast accentuating a lot of those characters. Even with the same grain, you get those varieties because of the yeast. One of the things, John, have you checked out the vault at White Labs recently?
Oh, yeah. Always take a look at that, see what's cooking in there.
Yeah, it's cool. They got all sorts of interesting yeasts available. And, White Labs has so many thousands of different kinds of yeast that they can't offer them all, year-round. It's just one-of-a-kind stuff that, unless there's a market for it, they can't just make it and let it go bad. So what they've done is they've set up the vault. You go to whitelabs.com/the vault, and you're going to be able to place a pre-order on a strain you'd like to use. They've got they'll load in a bunch of different things that they think might be interesting and make great beer, and as soon as one of those yeasts hits 150 orders, White Labs will go ahead and make the yeast and ship it directly to your doorstep. And pro brewers can get in on it too now. You can place a minimum order of 1.5 liters through yeastman.com or by contacting their customer service, and you can get those specialty strains too. So it's kind of cool. I mean, if you're into all these different yeasts, don't wait. Check it out. whitelabs.com/thevault, and you can jump in and get some unusual yeasts that some will accentuate the malt, some will accentuate the hops, some will be fruity, hazy, all sorts of stuff. Really cool stuff. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll finish up talking about barley variety and its impact on beer flavor right after this.
Brewing great beer is a process of continuous learning, and the best books on every aspect of brewing can be found at Brewers Publications, with more than 50 awesome titles like Modern Homebrew Recipes by Gordon Strong, Designing Great Beers, the Ultimate Guide to Brewing Classic Beer Styles by Ray Daniels, American Sour Beers, Innovative Techniques for Mixed Fermentations by Michael Tonsmeyer, For the Love of Hops, The Practical Guide to Aroma, Bitterness, and the Culture of Hops by Stan Hieronymus, and Radical Brewing, Recipes, Tales, and World-Altering Meditations in a Glass by Randy Mosher, plus many, many more. These are the books and the authors with the knowledge to push your brewing farther than you thought possible. And you'll find them all at fine homebrew and book retailers everywhere. And visit the website at brewerspublications.com. Brewers Publications, all the best on beer and brewing. Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support, like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, there are amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and a Homebrewer's Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from the BrewingNetwork.com.
Learning to brew has never been so disgusting. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're talking about the tests that, or the
study that they did
on the barley variety. So tell us more about.
Okay.
They were testing for their panel was tasting cereal, color, floral, fruit, grass, sweet, honey, malt, toasted, and toffee.
Yeah,
I guess they weren't really tasting color, but
yeah. So that as a tasting panel would, they are tasting these beers, tasting these samples, and scoring the kind of malt flavor that they were getting for each one, and then they took these results and ran statistical analysis, ANOVA, for example, on these various the genomic types, the region. They had planted these varieties in 3 separate growing regions in Oregon, and so they were looking at barley variety, region, protein, other traits these different barleys had. And seeing how that correlated to what the malt character was in the final beer. And what they found basically agrees with what maltsters have known, that the big 3 impacts to the malting process are also the big 3 impacts in terms of barley variety flavor in the final beer. And those are barley variety, the protein level, and then as a distant third, the region in which that barley variety is grown. And now, what's important to understand is that it's a trickle-down effect. The main factor for barley flavor, of course, is the kilning and roasting, because there's where you generate, strongly flavored Maillard reactions when you're toasting and roasting the barley malt to get that final malt color and so on. So that's the big determinant is the kilning and roasting process. But those three factors I mentioned, barley variety, protein level, and region, impact how that barley modifies during the malting process. And the modification affects the Maillard reactions that are generated, that occur during the kilning and roasting process, and that affects the beer flavor. So, the results of the study was that they were able to determine that barley variety and region both have an impact on beer flavor, but these are secondary effects in terms of primary effects, versus primary effects on beer flavor. That they do affect how the barley malts, and so their conclusion was that barley variety and barley flavor is probably worth pursuing for a certain segment of the market, brewers, maltsters, and consumers.
For craft brewers mainly, or?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For people interested in, these nuances and leanings in flavor, is this barley going to malt up as something that's, grassy and cereally, or is it going to malt up as something that's more sweet and toasty? Mm-hmm. That's the kind of manipulation that's possible. And they also determined that the genes that are responsible for flavor are separate from the genes that are responsible for malting performance. In other words, how easily that barley modifies during the malting process. Mm-hmm. So that makes, that really enables, breeding for flavor while not hurting the malting performance. Because it's very easy to take a barley that has great malting performance, but grow it in a region that's not, environmentally suited for it, and produce terrible malt. Mm-hmm. So that's, again, you get into the whole North American versus European, why we can't swap varieties.
Well, part of that goes back to the whole issue of yield. So a lot of these varieties of grains, it's difficult to get somebody to grow it because people aren't willing to pay enough for it. Right. And so, there's just no money to be made. So it's very difficult to get somebody to grow Marisada or whatever it might be because the yield is not...
bushels per acre. Right. They don't make as much money off of it.
But, as craft brewers and home brewers, if we... keep showing I think it's, home brewing and craft brewing that has kept something like Marisada alive and, keeps people planting it because it's very difficult in the grand scheme of things when you can grow something that'll produce a lot more and sell it to the same people for, people that are looking for cost-effective grains. It's just one of those things, but hopefully this will just raise awareness of your barley variety really does matter.
Yeah. And continuing to fund and look for, interesting barley varieties that yield well, not just something that solely yields well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely. Well, and I'd like you also to check out adamandeve.com. I don't know, Taylor, you're probably on there daily, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
You gotta keep your supplies.
No, totally.
It's just
professionals use Adam and Eve.
Do you get like a professional discount, or do you use the offer code Jamil, Jamil, at adamandeve.com?
Yeah, use your code.
Yeah, there you go. Because when you use offer code Jamil at adamandeve.com upon checkout, you're going to get 50% off just about any one item. You're going to get 3 free adult DVDs, and you're going to free extra gift so sensual I can't tell you about it, and free shipping. So All you got to do is pay for half the price of one item. You're going to get 3 free DVDs, a free extra gift, and free shipping. That's all you're going to pay. It's a pretty sweet deal. And you can get that at adamandeve.com by using the offer code Jamil, Jamil, at adamandeve.com today. All right. Good show, John. Real interesting information. I think all of us learned something about barley varieties and how they impact the flavor. I think if you enjoy this show and you want to hear more of it, I would suggest checking out our sponsors, especially Blickman Engineering. Send them a nice email at feedback@Blickman Engineering. Tell them how much you appreciate they sponsor the show. Great fermentations. You can email them as well. Just say, hey, thanks a bunch for sponsoring. Because when they hear back from you, they know that their money is actually getting them some sort of listeners. So you want to keep this show going, I would suggest you do that. You can also check out the Brewing Network store, brewingnetwork.com/store. They have all sorts of goodies in there. Everything's on sale. I think everything's like 99% off right now. They're just giving everything away. Basically. Viva says basically. All right. Until then, everybody, brew strong.
Brew strong, everyone.